My Derby friend,
What a damn opening. That was a fun evening.
Clayton Collins, founder and CEO of HousingWire Media. We're long overdue for this.
We certainly are. Thank you for having me. Excited to do my first one-on-one with you, Greg.
I know you knew a lot of people in that opening, huh? I saw you looking at them.
I know that. Well, yeah, the opening was absolute fire. That was high energy and a very good way to start the conversation. I definitely was not expecting the Derby video to be the second lead in there. So
yeah, well, we had a good time. Yeah, you came to the Kentucky Derby with me this year. It wasn't just you. It was Leo Perea, the CEO of EXP, and his lovely wife, and of course Leslie, your wife, and my friend Ben. This is probably my favorite picture from the Derby. Although a close second is this one right here, which is just vintage, right? I mean, that's a baller picture right there. We were in that
one is in the speakeasy before we got cleared out by Secret Service. So that was a fun little moment of the trip.
Yeah, we did get cleared out because Governor DeSantis from Florida was there and Marco Rubio. So that was interesting. We went from being VIPs to get the hell out of here really, really fast.
They mixed up priorities. They don't know about the heavy hitters in mortgage and real estate. I think they had the real heavy hitters in before Secret Service got there.
Yeah. And who's this guy? Who's this guy right here?
Dude, where are you going back in the Wayback Machine here?
You actually had more hair? It's amazing.
Yeah, that was before.
You look like you're 13 here.
That was before mortgage. Yeah,
I like to start. I go the reverse here. I started light and then I get serious. So like, if don't worry, we'll get into some topics here. But handsome guy you are.
Well, there.
Yeah, I mean, you talk about impactful people in housing. You're in my eyes, you're the man of the hour, and I say that for multiple reasons. Number one, I've made it very clear that I feel like there's a leadership void in this industry. We don't have a lot of our C-suite people that come out and speak about things other than what's happening within their organizations. And along came HousingWire and the conference circuit, which you bolstered in the last several years. And right in the nick of time, your timing has just been amazing. And it's given people like me and others a stage to elevate their voices at a time when we really, really need it. So what an impact you've made, and congratulations on that. How's the journey going? I mean, I know that you're coming up on 10 years, right? Since you took over HousingWire.
Yeah, I'll take man of the hour, but I like you, me, so many others in the industry. We're not new faces here. We've been building, working, learning for a really long time. So I came into HousingWire in 2016, which April of next year we're 10 years owning and operating this business, and a lot of work and knowledge went into even getting to that point. So I think it's as we go into this next phase of the housing market, it's worth recognizing the players who have been in this industry, like cycle in, cycle out for a long time, doing a lot of the hard work and in preparation for what is hopefully real leadership that helps push us all forward.
Yeah. So I look at the impact in two ways. Number one, the timing was really phenomenal. But the other thing is that in moments of uncertainty, what I love about what you're doing and about the agendas that you and your fabulous team put together, and we've got to talk about your team because the creme de la creme, but we'll get to that in a minute. But you work really hard to figure out what are the questions, what are the headwinds, what are the overhangs, and how do we address those so when people leave our room, they're going to go back with something tangible and substantive to put in their arsenal to be able to overcome whatever challenges they're facing. And that, to me, I call HousingWire the compass for us all. And that's one of the main reasons I encourage people to go, is because whatever questions you have, it's very likely that you're addressing them. So that is the most impactful thing for me.
Strategically, I think it's really important to emphasize and not take credit for setting that agenda. So we don't set the agenda at the corporate level. There's overarching things that we see, which we want to make sure our team's aware of. But the agendas for events, the content that flows through our newsroom, the guests that come on HousingWire, podcasts, those are sourced from our editorial team. And what I really do focus on at the leadership level is making sure that my team members and the reporters and content creators that work for Sarah Wheeler, our editor in chief, and the event team under Brennan Nath, they know the right people and they're out there talking to leaders in the industry. And when we are on point and when we are on theme and we have the right knowledge before anybody else and we have quotes from the leaders who are in the room when decisions are being made, that's because our people are out there talking to the leaders and the leaders are talking to our people. And that can't happen overnight. That's trust that's built through relationships and years of trust building. So industry leaders, sources know that they can talk to our reporters, talk to our journalists, talk to our event teams about the issues and opportunities they're seeing in the market, share information when it's off the record or on background, or when they want to be out there and quoted and be the face of a story. And so I really do want to reinforce that I think of HousingWire a lot as a platform, and we provide the platform, we distribute content, we hire great people, we retain and train and promote great people, but ultimately it's the interaction with the industry that actually enables us to do what we do. This is not from an ivory tower. This is in partnership with leaders like you, Greg.
Yeah, well, thanks for pointing that out. And you do have a fabulous team. You Sarah Wheeler, Brennan Nath. Those are two of many. I mean, everybody is a standard on that team, and you see it when you come to the events. You see it in the way that it's organized and every box that's checked. And it really started to impact me with the gathering last year. That's when I left, and I wrote about this in my LinkedIn profile. It's the first conference that when I went to the one in Arizona, that I never wanted to leave. Like, everyone is so used to, and that's the other element here, is that the conference scene has been stale for a really long time. It's not been needle moving. People kind of go because they want to go to those 4 or 5 conferences. Now you've kind of turned it into an event where everyone has to be at, right? And I don't know if that's what you set out to do, but for me, not wanting to leave, the first time that had ever happened, when I was going to miss it. I was going to miss the interactions, and then the lengths that you go to make sure that it's not just the stage people and the keynote speakers, that you are carving out an equal amount of time for collaboration. And that goes, hand in hand with all of us and all the things that, what I like to call the 98% of the industry that is important to them, right? And 98% of the industry is not me and you, in that calculation. It's the underbelly of the industry. It's the processors. It's the underwriters. It's the third-party vendors. It's the people that are the engine of the industry that typically don't have a platform and a voice. And you've leaned into that. I don't know if you've done it on purpose.
Yeah. I leaned in to trying to create an environment that mirrored the way that I see the industry. And since the earliest days of HousingWire, we've seen the industry as the housing sector that spans real estate sales, the real estate agent and broker ecosystem, to mortgage lenders, servicers, origination to capital markets, and title and valuation and home building. And I've long held a strong belief that operating in a siloed ecosystem where the professionals that influence the single family residential housing market do not talk to each other, despite the fact that we're all serving the same consumer and we're all taking part in one single transaction in the buy and sale of a home, and we all influence each other's success and outcomes and failures in one part of the process, whether that be financing or title or valuation or something down the chain in capital markets or servicing, can impact the whole ecosystem. We saw that in 2008 and 2009. And we've long held the belief here at HousingWire that by bringing professionals together from across the transaction, we can build a healthier, more sustainable housing economy that ultimately better serves consumers to further home ownership and better serves the professionals that work in this industry, so we can build more profitable, sustainable careers without the whiplash of the cycles that many of us have learned to live through in this industry. For the event specifically, Greg, when we started building the gathering, we had a great framework from the Gathering of Eagles, which we acquired from Steve Murray in the Real Trends deal in 2020. But there was also some other places that we looked to for inspiration. So just last week, I was out in Palo Alto at Stanford for an event that I go to every single time they host it. It's a biannual event. And it's one I'll never miss. It's the Stanford CEO conference, and they bring together exactly what I try to do at the gathering is bring together an ecosystem of people who do business together in a way that helps community in a way you can't miss it. So at the Stanford conference, they bring together CEOs, the service providers, so banks, lawyers, accounting firms, and investors in one ecosystem. So last week alone, I had the opportunity to listen to some of the smartest investors in small and mid-sized businesses out there. I got to meet with some of my service providers that I do business with year in and year out. And I got to see my peers, the other CEOs that I've been, sharing notes with side by side for over a decade now. And the fact that a community can come together in a way where you have your best friends and your business partners in one place, it creates something that you're never going to miss. And I made sacrifices last week and missed other things at home and at work because there's no way I wasn't going to be at Stanford for this event. And there's a lot of influence that I've learned from that environment and ecosystem that I've tried to bring into HW and the gathering.
Give us some takeaways.
From last week?
Yeah. What did you walk away?
Well, so HousingWire. So one of the things our, one of our challenges is we're a content-centric organization. So we love stacking the stage with as many speakers and as much content as possible. One of the things that that was really stood out to me last week is there's probably 4 hours of general session content and 20 hours of networking time. And it's kind of wild how an event can be put on where so little activity actually happens on the main stage, and so much of it happens in round tables and breakout sessions and just coffee and beverages and social activities around the event. That really stood out for me. But from a content perspective, one of the investors and operators that I've admired my whole career. And this is somebody that I think mortgage operators can learn from as well. A gentleman named Will Thorndike, just a phenomenal investor. And he wrote a book called The Outsiders, where he profiles 7 CEOs who just did things slightly differently, but built fabulous capital compounding machines over many decades. And in his morning talk last week, Will did a study of the 7 original entrepreneurial acquisition deals, the 7 original search fund deals, and pointed at commonalities and pointed at differences in the way the CEOs operated the businesses. And one of the things that really stood out to me was patience. So the average tenure of those CEOs and the ownership of those businesses was over 20 years. And in business circles, specifically private equity and investor funded businesses, a lot of people fall into a trap of thinking of business in this 5 or 7 year, sprint mindset. And you can have great outcomes in 5 to 7 years, but the capital compounding and the impact you can have on your clients and employees over multiple decades is so much higher. And that was really inspirational to me. The other part that people don't always agree with is the optimal use of debt. And people often look at debt and bank leverage as a risky and negative point in business. And one of the points that Will shared, and something I was already pretty familiar with, is that all of these businesses had a constant and optimize load of debt in their businesses, where they were doing acquisitions and running the business at a 50 to 60% leverage profile in almost all cycles. Now, that might fit differently in mortgage and real estate than it does in other recurring revenue business areas. But I did find that an incredibly important point as it comes to our space on balance sheet management and making sure you're optimized for the long haul, not just optimized for the cycle you're in at the current moment.
Man, that's a great insight. part of that longer horizon is making sure that you can adjust with the changes. And there are always changes. There are always curveballs. And, I'm wondering how you approach continuing to raise the bar. The AI summit that I attended 3 weeks ago or so in Dallas, I mean, it was virtually standing room only. It wasn't really. But it was probably just enough chairs to fit the butts. So, I mean, you're here at this, apex moment. How do you approach making sure that you don't lose that momentum?
Yeah. So from an our business perspective on not losing momentum, we have to focus simultaneously on bringing new value to our users while making sure that things that our clients and users are already using continue to provide more value and get better over time. So we have built and throughout even this really tough housing recession of the last 3 years, maintained and grown a really incredible product and engineering team. Through the acquisition of Altos in 2022, we brought on a lot of new data capabilities as well as engineering capabilities. And what we're starting to do, which you've seen a little bit through the homepage of HousingWire, and you're going to see a lot more inside of our subscription program in the coming quarters, is bringing more housing market intelligence tools directly to our subscribers. So we are trying to change the mold. We don't look at HousingWire as a pure play B2B media business. I mean, that's what I started with in 2016, straight up media. We have evolved quite a bit, and the community element that events has brought, combined with the data element that Altos has brought into our organization, helps us really evolve to a place where we're an information partner to professionals and executives across mortgage and real estate. And my goal is to bring more than just the narrative-driven news, but also bring the data in the community, the connections that you build through events, to help housing professionals make better decisions faster. And
are you doing a good enough job having people hear that message? Because there are a lot of people that I think look at HousingWire and go, "Oh my goodness, they throw the best conferences," but they may not know that that's not really your engine. So what are you doing a good enough job, and what are you doing to make sure that people hear this message and know what resources you have? Because honestly, I know you've got Altos. I know you've made multiple acquisitions over the years, but I'm not quite sure as a C-suite level person how I can use those tools.
Yeah, it's part of our process, Greg. So like over the last 5 years, we've done a fair amount of M&A and building, and we've kept things kind of separate. So we acquired Real Trends in 2020, Reverse Mortgage Daily in 21, Altos in 22. Just this summer, we acquired the Builders Daily, a home building publication. And part of my approach from a leadership perspective is to make sure that once we acquire a new business, we bring it into our corporate entity, HW Media, transition human resources and finance and tech and products to shared platform before we really get aggressive on the integration into the HousingWire umbrella. But to be really clear, we do see HousingWire as the parent brand of all of this. And now my charge is to bring in Altos and Real Trends into the HousingWire umbrella and do a much better job at marketing the capabilities. But we're not completely there yet. It's something I'm aware of, but we have some work to do.
Well, I mean, you're in acquisition mode. Clearly, you just mentioned 4 or 5.
Yeah.
I view you as much of a data and tech company as I do a media company. I think most people, if you ask them, "Hey, is HousingWire a media company or tech company or data company?" they probably say media, but that's not really the case. Or how should people look at it?
I think we're different things to different people right now, but that will change over time. So like Altos primarily serves real estate agents and title reps today. That's our primary clientele. Real Trends is another huge part of our data capabilities, which serves real estate agents, brokerages, and teams. So, and while HousingWire, we've always had this historic focus and strength around the mortgage side of the transaction. So, for different reasons, we've done more innovation and deal making on the real estate side than the mortgage side to date. So I would completely understand if our mortgage audience doesn't see some of the things we've done, but they will. Like we'll get there. But it's the opportunities so far have given us a chance to build a little bit more on the real estate side. Now we need to cross the chasm and bring some of those Altos capabilities to mortgage, and also look at ways that we can take what we've learned in the real estate side of the house and bring it to mortgage. So we are, Real Trends rankings have become a really important part of the real estate industry. We have a partnership with Dow Jones and license the Real Trends data to the Wall Street Journal. It gets published in the Mansion section of the Journal when we release rankings. I think there's something similar we can do on the mortgage side of the industry that we just haven't done yet. And we also have ambitions to go a little bit deeper into the mortgage data ecosystem, where we can track originator and mortgage independent mortgage bank or mortgage bank performance data, and in a way that we haven't been able to do yet.
No, but you still, some of the people that are out there now that do that,
yep,
sponsor some of HousingWire's events. So I know you're probably extremely mindful of making sure that no one's offended as you start to meander into some of those spaces that cross over.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's the data ecosystem is really interesting. It's not always a Highlander. There can be only one scenario. The data ecosystem relies on licensing deals and partnerships and data trades. And we've been able to work with a lot of the data players in the mortgage industry and real estate industry so far to help each other enrich our data and bring capabilities across the ecosystem. So when you think about like who does what today, if we do something similar in the future, it might very well be in partnership with someone who's been building capabilities for quite a while.
That makes sense. What's been the biggest learning curve? Because you're not a mortgage guy, right? I mean, would you say you're more of a Wall Street guy? I mean, when I look at your resume, you started as an intern at UBS in September of 2006 in Greensboro, North Carolina. And in the job description, you wrote filing papers, fetching coffee, and eating free lunch from wholesalers. And so, from that, I like that. You had a sense of humor back then, but I'm sure there was a learning curve for you to learn about the mortgage and housing industry. So what was that like? Yeah. And is there somebody that stands out that was, a few people that stand out as an influence that helped you bend that, straighten that curve that was bent?
So in my company at HW, like I subscribe to the belief that, once somebody's been in a role for a new hire or a promotion has been in a role for 90 days, they can no longer look back and say that's the way it's been done, or this is the process or product or pricing that I inherited. 90 days in, you have an expectation to wrap your arms around it and for that to be yours. I take a similar belief on how long someone's been in an industry. And I think 18 months in the mortgage industry or the housing sector is the time period that it should take somebody to ramp up and be dangerous enough to navigate this industry and really understand what's happening. Of course, mortgage is incredibly complex and it changes cycle in, cycle out, which is one reason why I don't have a lot of patience for people who have been around for 5 or 10 years and say they're still learning the mortgage industry. Because if you've been around that long and say you're still learning, then you're going to miss the curve because it changes so fast. Like the industry of 1999 was not the industry of 2009, was not the industry of 2019. So learning quick and embedding yourself is really important. So Greg, I do consider myself a housing and mortgage guy. And my history in this sector goes back further than my resume reveals. So I grew up around the mortgage industry. My dad has been an originator his entire career. From my earliest days, I remember him originating loans at a community bank, Indian River National Bank in Vero Beach, Florida, which later became part of Alabama National and has been acquired several times since then. So I saw him as an originator there. I saw him leave the community banking world and join Countrywide for like a second before he rolled out and became a broker. And then I remember before I was filing papers at UBS, I was filing papers for him as an independent mortgage broker and turning Allen wrenches, building furniture in his different offices as he built his origination business. So I've spent my life around the mortgage industry and around real estate. But certainly not to the depth that I have in the last decade building HousingWire.
Yeah. So should we expect you to continue with the purchase spree? Like if you see opportunities that could enhance the business or help fulfill that blueprint, that there could be other acquisitions down the road?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, we're not like like M&A is not the only tool in our toolkit. We have a great engineering and marketing and sales teams that can help us grow organically, but we do know how to do M&A. I have some M&A advisory experience in my background. It's a tool I like to use. But I do consider M&A just one of the tools that smart operators have in their toolkit. So for us, Greg, to directly answer your question, like, yes, if we see the right opportunities of media and data businesses around our very tightly correlated to the single family residential real estate space, and then that would be very exciting for us. But don't expect to see us like take the approach that you've seen some other media companies take and like launch like a B2B healthcare line or like go into like industrial services. Like we are housing, and that's important to me.
Let's do a quick couple of hitters here, and then we'll let you go.
Yep.
Leadership style.
So we just went through an exercise on our leadership team, and for the longest time, I considered myself the leadership style pace setting. You're first in, last out. If I drive hard, everybody around me will drive hard. Harvard Business Review did a study on leadership styles and found that is a very detracting leadership style. So I'm working on evolving more leadership styles in my playbook. I would say if I'm not pace setting, I'm kind of authoritative. I have a view of where I want to go, and I expect the people around me to see that vision. I don't guide their hand on exactly how we get there. I don't micromanage, but I do expect the people around me to know where we're going and figure out how they help the organization get there. So I'd say that's probably more tightly aligned to my style today.
Yeah. So if you look back at the younger Clayton Collins when you first got into business, what do you wish you knew then that you know now? Is there one or two things that stand out? Yeah,
I intentionally stayed out of the spotlight of the business for quite a while in our first few years of ownership. I took the view that my highest and best use at HW was to hire, recruit, train, and retain the best business media and mortgage people out there. And if I focused all my energy on recruiting and developing amazing people, we would go far. I still believe in that, but I've also learned the importance of being market facing and having those relationships myself directly. And and I've learned to really enjoy this element of leadership.
How do you address culture? How much emphasis do you put on it when you're making an acquisition and you're inheriting employees and you want them to fit in? Is it, I know you don't want to do square peg and round holes. So to what end do you go to make sure they fit in? And what have you learned from that?
Yeah. So from a culture perspective, I'm most concerned and spend the most time thinking about the leadership culture. So how do I fit and communicate with the founder, whether they're joining us or not? We found that through M&A, we often uncover a few hidden gem people in the org structure, but we're also, also very comfortable like hiring to support those hidden gem people. So we don't do M&A with the intent of like 100% employee retention. We want to make sure we keep the best people and then supplement those people with our recruiting style and people that kind of fit the integrated culture. But that doesn't work unless the leader, the founder, has a good like communication and cultural fit with me. And I've also like learned that communication style really matters. Like I'm a like pick up the phone guy. I'm not a like let's schedule time to do a Zoom next week guy. And so like when you find people that like culturally just call, I've found that we work so much better together and last so much longer together.
Yeah. Anything left here? Anything on the table you want to address? Anything you want everyone out there to to know about your mission and HousingWire, how you see the housing market, just anything you want to tie together here?
Well, I'll go back to our theme and say we're a platform. We're not from an ivory tower, and I am kind of a media guy now. So, Greg, I got to turn one around on you and play host for a minute. Give us a glimpse. We are in the first week of September 2025. What are you seeing in the mortgage market? What's surprising you? Anything that we should know about what you're seeing from your originators?
Signing bonuses are back, and bigger than ever. I think that is indicative of that CEOs feel like it's time to double down on their commitment to originating, and that they can take a bigger risk because the reward's going to be much bigger as we get into a longer run. So that's something that's just been evolving in the last 2 months now. I mean, I'm hearing about 120, 130, 140 basis points, which is 2 to 3x what the high ones were paying. And of course, they come with all the stipulations and the clawbacks, but this is an awful lot of money suddenly being thrown around by the same usual suspects. I won't mention any names. And that on the heels of Friday's job report, which which showed non-farm payrolls 22,000 versus the estimated 75, and the bond, Friday hovering around 410. What's remarkable to me is we've had over the last 2-3 years, everybody's missed. Every economist has missed that's in the mortgage space. Oh, I think, the bond's going to be, the rates are going to be at 5.5, 5.75. 2 years ago, it hasn't happened. Inflation's been sticky. So we've had all these things, all these signals where rates have improved a little bit, and all of a sudden, oh, let me, breathe a sigh of relief. You may recall last November, roughly, that the rates went down. There was like a window, and everyone thought, oh my goodness, this is the turn we've been waiting for. Then rates started to go up again. So we've had all these head fakes. And so right now what you're starting to see is a stacking of the favorable data. When I say favorable, I don't mean favorable for the economy, because as we know, you need just the opposite for mortgage rates to move down, unfortunately. So we're seeing, favorable in terms of cracks in the foundation, and more than we've seen in quite some time. So the unemployment rate's 4.3, lowest it's been, or highest it's been since 2021. So there are a lot of indicators that we are right now right on the doorstep potentially of that bull run in mortgage. And there are fewer players in the game. There's been a lot of consolidation, a lot of capitulation, and so those that are still left at the table that have pivoted and made smart decisions are really going to benefit, in the end. And we could be right there in that moment.
Love that real-time insight. Well, Greg, thank you for hosting me on 101. I'm thrilled. One-on-one. I'm thrilled to join you.
Yeah, I had a great time with you at the Derby, my friend. I think you're hooked now. I mean, what was your takeaway from the Derby experience? Like what you thought it would be, and what it turned out being. And you think you'll return?
100% returning. Already working on a suite with some friends for next year, so I will see you there. Just the entertainment factor of the Derby was probably the biggest surprise to me. Like I've always enjoyed. We've hosted Derby parties at our house before. I've enjoyed the Derby, but I've never been a big like sports bettor or like into that side of the racing world. But when you get there and you see like the entertainment factor and the energy of like all these people that are like dressed to their best, and like there's like food and drink flowing, and there's a hum of excitement and energy. There's no way you don't get caught up in it. And that was something that definitely stood out. I'll be back.
Good. Well, I look forward to seeing you. You want to just give the IMB summit, a quick plug? Yeah. Are there still tickets available? When is it? Where is it? Yeah. Why should people go?
Yeah. So HousingWire, we host one-day summits as well. We talked about the gathering earlier, but our one-day summits are here in Dallas, in our home city, at the George W. Bush Library at SMU. Our next event coming up is the Mortgage Banking Summit on October 7th. And we are about a little over a month out right now, and would certainly welcome anybody who's listening to this episode to join us. We have a heavy focus on bringing leaders from across the mortgage banking ecosystem to the stage, talk about their their challenges, opportunities, and what they're doing to capture growth. Maybe we'll talk about recruiting and signing bonuses a little bit, Greg, on stage, and also creating some networking time for peers to interact and get to know each other and share best practices. So the awesome thing about the one-day summits is like Dallas, for the center of the country, you can fly in from both coasts, do a one-day trip here, learn a lot, meet a lot of people, get it done, and get home. And we're focused on efficiency with these one-day events, and see the Mortgage Banking Summit as a moment to come together in the fourth quarter of 2025, which I think, and agree with you, Greg, that there's a lot of green shoots happening in the market right now. And get a glimpse for yourself if the optimism is something that we should all be confident in.
Yeah, the signing bonus thing is a real, we can talk offline about that, and I can point you in some various directions. And of course, I have a lot of opinions on that. So happy to share those as well. And our president and COO, Bob Tyson, will be on stage at that summit. So I will be there, of course. I look forward to seeing you in person. Clayton Collins, my regards to your lovely wife, Leslie. Appreciate your time very much. Keep up the great work and continued success. Take it easy, brother.
Thank you. Talk to you soon, Greg.
All right. Have a great Monday, everyone.